Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 14th episode of Geekcast, the podcast. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's not Greg's voice. It sounds a lot worse.
You lie.
And it's because it's Dan Whitehead's voice. And Greg isn't here yet. He's running late, and he told us to start without him, so we did. And we're here. And I'm also here with
Patrick Howard.
Woo, I forgot to turn the speaker off. We're going to be hearing echoes of ourselves here.
No, we don't
Let's
want
go
that.
ahead and do that.
No, we don't want that.
It's bad enough we got to hear it once.
Yeah.
So, as all 8 of you may know, we took a break last week just because Greg wasn't around. We decided to take a mental little break there. And just as a warning, we're also going to be taking a break after December 20th. Till we come back to school, which will be January 25th. Yeah. So about a month break. Again, just another hiatus, kind of. It's a slow point. It's a dark time in entertainment. So we'll take
Nothing's going to be interesting happening. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the shows are off. I mean, we'll have like some Oscar-winning movies or Oscar-contending movies coming out, but
a little
those
indie
can wait.
flick called Star Wars, but that's about it.
Well, yeah, that's why we're waiting till the 20th to stop because we're going to do a big Star Wars episode. Probably an entire episode just on Star Wars.
And unfortunately, we will be away from each other quite a bit, especially for me because I'll be in LA at the time. So hopefully we can do like a Skype call session, see if that works.
Yeah.
At all.
If not, we'll all just do our own separate opinions, and then I'll splice them together, and you'll never know the difference.
Yeah.
Now that I didn't told you the secret, though, you'll know.
Yeah.
But so let's start, I guess, with our pick of the weeks, as we always do.
All right.
Greg, he can do his when he gets here, when he decides to just walk in on us. So, Patrick, you go ahead and go first.
All right. So my pick of the week is this artist that has been who's been around for a while. I'm just now picking her up. Is Karen O who actually was originally from the band the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, but now she's kind of gone solo and doing her own thing. And I first heard of her when she did that song for the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo soundtrack with Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually a cover. I cannot remember the name of the song actually of the band who originally did it, but it was a great cover. Regardless. But so like that kind of kept her in my mind. And then when I first saw the trailer for this TV spot for the new Tomb Raider game called Rise of the Tomb Raider, I heard this song and I was like immediately hooked by it. Like I think that was the reason why I liked the spot was this song called I Shall Rise by Karen O. And I kind of looked into it some more and got the full song on Google Play. Got that and I listened to it and it was fantastic. I really want to look up the lyrics and because it just sounds like a song that like Johnny Cash would sing. It's very it's very very moody, very kind of like self-reflective, and kind of like doing her thing. She shall rise and not let anybody kind of bring her down. She's just gonna do her own thing. And now I'm just like hooked on her right now. I'm just trying to listen to as much of her work as possible. So yeah, that was probably the highlight of my week. Definitely
A highlight of your week, huh?
Yeah. Dan, what's your pick of the week?
For me, the last 2 weeks, I've been watching a lot of. With Netflix, I do a lot more of like putting things in my queue than actually watching the things in my queue. And I can't seem to stick with a show that I like. Kind of bounce around something, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, I'll watch during Christmas break. One of those being Star Trek. I was going to wait and watch the old shows and whatever. So then I was like, all right, well, let me watch something else in the meantime, and I would jump around show to show. So then I was like, you know what? Maybe I won't watch a show. Maybe I'll watch a couple more films, and kind of get maybe inspired, maybe see something that I like, get a style or some insight onto what they do. And I decided to target more indie films just because it's more or less kind of what I want to make, just because it gives the filmmakers more freedom.
All right, that's what you're going to start with.
Yeah, if not even stay with, might try it stay with. But yeah, so I wanted to like check out some stuff. So I watched a lot of them. I'm actually going to say 2 movies that I liked. I just thought of the other one I liked a lot. First one is Silver Linings Playbook, which has been out since 2012. And I've seen it a few times, but I had recently watched it again, and it was one of those that you kind of forget how good it was until you watch it, and you're like, wow, this really was good, and it's almost like you want to watch it again right away. It stars Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro, Jackie Weaver, Chris Tucker, and Julius Stiles. Yeah, I want to make sure I got the name right because I get her mixed up with Julia Childs, who's the old cook lady who would drink and whatever. Anyway, Julia Stiles from the Bourne trilogy and all that stuff. Really, really cool movie directed by David O. Russell, who's done American Hustle. He's done
Three Kings, which is like
Three Kings.
I think one of the few movies based on Desert Storm, actually.
Yeah, that and Jarhead, I think, is the other one that was based on that. But he's also done, well, his movie coming out this year at Christmas is Joy, also starring pretty much the same cast, about the woman who from Long Island who made the Swiffer mop, which is kind of a weird thing, but I
feel like David O. Russell could make that really interesting and kind of funny.
I really, really like his style. Oh, The Fighter, that was the other big one he did.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I think of the ones that I've seen so far, I think American Hustle is probably my least favorite, but it's not a bad film. And they all play like indie films, even if they're not necessarily. Like Silver Lining Playbook definitely was, but the other ones may not have been, like Fighter and like all those, but they feel like that because he's very much like creative. He likes to be right in there with them. I know I was telling, I think Patrick, he as a director will sit like just at a view of the camera, like real close to the actors to kind of, help them get them to get a scene right or whatever. Normally directors are like across the room or even in another room looking at a monitor.
Oh, yeah, I think like Stanley Kubrick, he actually had sometimes, especially on 2001, like an assistant to like, to message his direction to the actors and just back and forth.
Right. Whereas Russell, I know for American Hustle, was sitting like right in the car with them when they'd be, in a car scene, wherever he'd be on the floor or on their feet or whatever it is, like just hiding in just out of sight or whatever. So I thought that was really cool, and I think that's more or less my style in a way. I like being like real close as possible.
Yeah, I believe in that approach, definitely.
Just off camera, kind of like, all right, let's try this. That way you're right there to like give direction when when it's done and all that kind of thing.
And that intimacy really pays off. With
Totally. And I think that's why they continue to work together, all these actors and David O. Russell. He brings out really, really good performances out of them. I mean, he's, I think, the first director to have 2 movies in a row take the Big Four or be nominated for the Big Four, which is the 4 acting spots and like Best Picture, which I guess would be 5. But that's never been done before, where it was 2012, 2013 like that. So that was really impressive. And, of course, Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence's chemistry together. It's the first time they worked together, but it was just incredible. Like I genuinely believe in them in this movie. And I'm glad that they like working together, and they've done it many more times and probably will continue to do it. It's one of those that I almost kind of wish they dated in real life.
I know.
If it couldn't be me that dates Jennifer Lawrence, I would like it to be Bradley Cooper. You know what I mean? It's one of those that I just believe
it's
them.
like Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, or like Kate Winslet and Leo DiCaprio.
Right. Or Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler.
Or even like David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. Like, they're such close friends, and they work so well. They're good. Like, God, why didn't you just like make it official and just start dating?
I feel like the list goes on of people that do that, but then they just never. It's kind of one of those things that they're almost like, well, she's like my sister, or like my good friend that you couldn't have it happen.
Right.
But it's, hey, here's to dreaming, right? Yeah. So the other movie, a little less known, but just as good, is called Short Term 12, and it stars. Oh boy, here I'm going to test myself here. What is her name? Brie Larson. Thank God I got that. Brie Larson, who was the love interest to Jonah Hill in 21 Jump Street. If you remember her, the one that he did the Peter Pan with, she was Wendy.
Oh yeah.
And her Molly was her character's name, I think, in the movie. But she is like the head, let's call it counselor at a youth home for kids that are kind of have troubled parents and all this kind of thing. And a new guy comes in and kind of learning the ropes, and these new kids come in, and after 18, they're like pushed out kind of because they, it's just for young adults or young kids, whatever. And so, of course, she kind of bonds with this one girl who had a really big problem, and they have very similar parallel kind of backstories that they can kind of connect on, but of course it takes a while. Really strong performances. Obviously it's not plagued, which often happens by big actors. They kind of make it their movie in a way sometimes. It doesn't always happen. Like, again, with Silver Lining Playbook, I don't think it happened, but in other movies it does. And this one, it didn't, because these guys are all kind of still building their image in Hollywood. They're just truly like genuine good actors and people I would want to watch in a movie more. And I almost wanted to see more of the movie. Like when it ended, it was almost like where's more? I want to know more. So I highly recommend both of those movies. Both are on Netflix. So if you're Netflix and chilling by yourself or with somebody, definitely watch those two. Doesn't matter the order, but definitely worth checking out. And that's what I got. Right. So last Friday.
Yep.
While Greg's still not here since he hasn't seen it, we'll talk about Spectre. First, before we go into it, I had the pleasure of going with Patrick and his dad, both fine gentlemen. Mm-hmm. And we got there early, and because thinking it was going to be really filled up.
Same here. I was thinking, we gotta get there like at 7 or something.
And I think it was maybe 3/4 of the way filled.
Yeah, I was like, I guess it was all. I guess the midnight screening like kind of just took all that away and like
if that or people just weren't that interested in seeing it.
I guess.
I don't know. All right. Well, Patrick, what did you think of the movie?
I know you kind of differ from this, but as an action movie, I thought it was good. It was really entertaining, and I really love just kind of like the epic and massiveness of these fights, and also it varied too. So. Like in the movie, there's a great plane truck action scene. I won't spoil. I won't go into much details, but it's like it's in the snowy mountains, and I think it's a great fight that kind of keeps you guessing. And also, there's a great train scene between James Bond and Dave Bautista's character, who's like kind of the silent odd job type goon of
Mr. Hinks.
Mr. Hinks, yeah. Name. And that was really intense, really well shot, and definitely well edited. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, just as an action movie, it worked. I think it worked efficiently. But as a James Bond movie, I was sorely disappointed. And after the movie ended, I almost went into a state of denial. Like, I think it was good. I think it kind of hit all the classic aspects of a James Bond movie that I think some James Bond movies want to hit. But there was just kind of like just a very empty feeling to it, and it stems from a lot of facts. Daniel Craig, who I think really after Sean Connery is the best James Bond, but this one I think he just felt tired, and since it was hopefully the closing of his arc as James Bond, he just looked tired and he felt like, God, just let this shit be over. Mm. And I think other than like the opening scene, the track shot, which is a great tracking shot of him in Mexico City about to take out this bad guy, he just didn't look invested in anything at all, and he was kind of just coasting through it. That and just the criminally underused Christoph Waltz as the villain, and just I think if you get an actor like that, you have to utilize him. You don't really kind of save him till the third act and only give him like a few minutes of screen time. And they should have done it how with Skyfall, where they got a big name actor, Javier Bardem, to play Silva, but they actually managed to build him up and also utilize him throughout the movie. Like, he was built up, but also he was used as a character. And you felt like, okay, this is a three-dimensional character, a three-dimensional villain that I'm actually kind of concerned and threatened by. And honestly, I didn't get that with Christoph Waltz's character, villain. When he was on screen, it was interesting, but the overall effect was just mute.
Right. For me, the film was one of those that when it was done, it was kind of like you said, I don't know if I like this, and I kind of needed a minute to kind of digest what I just saw.
Yeah.
It was like, I kind of had to think about it. I was like, I I don't know how I feel about it. Like I wasn't really sure how to feel about it. And now I think obviously it's been a week and a half, whatever. And I think it had a lot of strong elements. As you were kind of hinting at, I didn't enjoy the action scenes as much just because I thought they kind of lacked a lot of like flair to me. It seemed like they were very kind of just like,
Too basic, yeah.
It seemed like they were in second gear when I was but I really wanted to see them in fourth gear kind of thing, like really going and fast, and they weren't that just exciting to me. I'm going to say possible spoilers because I don't want to ruin anything if I, cough up something. But for Christoph Waltz, I agree with you. I think that someone of his caliber should have been there throughout, or not used him in the like. Don't use him then if you were going to make a character like that. Yeah. Don't waste Christoph Waltz on that. And here's definitely a spoiler. The way the movie ends, obviously, Bond kind of rides off into the sunset, not literally, but kind of. I mean, he does drive off. In
his own way, he does, yeah.
And so it kind of seems like a closing of Daniel Craig's story. So then I feel like it'd be weird to, a few years from now, have it where someone else is now playing James Bond, but yet every other actor in the movie's the same. And I've done that before, obviously with actually, not really. The only one that's kind of stayed the same is M. Throughout all of these movies, it seemed, and Q, for the older movies, of course. But it'd just be weird to have just introduced Ben Winshaw's Q, who's phenomenal at it.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
I always forget her name. Naomi Harris as Moneypenny, and then of course the great Ralph Fiennes as M. Really, really strong actors, really good supporting team for Bond, and then for him to be done, and then they have to reboot it again or reuse it, just be kind of weird. So I think that they're in a weird spot right now.
They kind of are. Like you wouldn't think, but actually they are.
My thought process, if I was them, would be this: let it be. Daniel Craig's done. He's his story is over with. I think they ended it good enough. Wait, almost. I would say close to 10 years.
Really, 10 years? Okay.
Yeah, really kind of let us shake it off.
Forget,
Casino Royale through Spectre. And just come at us with a boom, blaze of glory of a brand new Bond. Everybody's rebooted.
Okay.
Just, again, start from scratch. Or give us one more Daniel Craig. But this time, give us a different 00 to follow around, more so. Think of it as Alec Guinness showing Luke the ropes.
Okay, yeah.
But then or with the new Star Wars, where the old cast is showing the new cast the ropes, and then they kind of take over for the sequels. Mm-hmm. So we do one more. Bond, maybe he dies at the end of that one, or again they bring him out of retirement, train him, and then he's gone again. Or sacrifices himself.
Or also use Christoph Waltz as well.
I think bring back Christoph Waltz.
I would think so too, because once again, once he was in his element, he was good. He kept my attention. So it's just
and I wanted more, and especially because of the way they kind of set him up with with spoiler the scar and the cat, which right away as soon as I saw the cat, I was like Blofeld.
Yeah.
And I mean going into the movie, it's like you're telling us you're not Blofeld.
It's Star Trek Into Darkness all over again.
But when it's Spectre and it's Christoph Waltz, he's Blofeld. That was an obvious thing. Speaking of that, I didn't really enjoy the storyline between Bond and Blofeld, or Franz Oppenheimer, or Oppenheiser, whatever his name was in the movie. Just because I thought it was weird to have them have that old connection. I thought it'd be better for them to become arch nemesises, in front of our eyes instead of in the past.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Kind of, because it was basically they are adopted brothers in a way, right? So James Bond's parents die when he was rather young from a skiing accident, and then Franz's, which is Christoph Waltz's character's father, kind of takes him in, as well as having his own son, Franz. And but at the same time, he kind of pays more attention to James and teaching him things, how to be a man, like all that kind of stuff. And so Franz kind of gets pushed to the wayside. And of course, now years later, he's getting his quote unquote revenge for that and taking the whole world kind of down with him in the process. That's why he was saying, like, I'm the author of all of your pain and I've always been here and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't like that. In a way, it kind of seemed like a cop-out.
Well, yeah, and also just because they didn't, kind of show us that relationship visually.
Yeah, it would have been interesting as a flashback.
And just all like, yeah, I remember that time we did this and that. Like, well, no, we can't really relate to that because we don't see it.
Right. Let us see if
you're going against the medium here. You got to show.
Do Bond films even do flashbacks?
I feel
don't. Like they don't.
They
so
really don't.
Why not do a flashback? Or
and honestly, I would have preferred him and his parents more than like us, like an adopted brother. Because they hinted at that with Skyfall, which I think this film was trying to be again like this somber kind of James Bond film.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also trying to fit in classic James Bond tropes that we all love. So it just kind of didn't match.
And that in that aspect, I appreciated the film. The white jacket and the red corsage from like Sean Connery era. The car, of course, making a comeback after the 2012 film Skyfall. Just like the fact that like this silent henchman, Spectre, which is probably the biggest one. I liked that aspect of it. Like I said, I didn't hate the movie. There's just a lot of it I didn't enjoy,
right.
And there was too few that I did. So I think I gave it like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Nothing like spectacular, but I'm not saying for people that are interested in seeing it. I mean, we kind of spoiled it for you, so if you hadn't seen it, you kind of know already. But still, go see it. I still think it's a pretty cool film. It's
right.
a good continuation of the Bond series. But I'm at a point where I'm okay if they reboot it.
Yeah, same here.
And they end it. And if they reboot it, again, wait a while. Just because we have so many other movies that we were watching too with superheroes and all these other big franchises and stuff. I think Bond, we can take a break from.
And also this year has been very spy heavy with other spy movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I would give it like a 7 out of 10. Really just for that extra points, really just for the action scenes, which I enjoyed more than you did.
Right.
And honestly, I just thought since Spectre was trying to be Skyfall and Casino Royale, which try to take Bond in a different direction and not feed into like the cliches that we expect to see in a Bond movie, but also try to feed those tropes as well. So it didn't mesh. So
right. One thing I would want to see too is if they reboot it, which they kind of did it already, but not to the extent that I'm thinking, is obviously with Casino Royale, it was his first mission as a 00, right? What if we went even farther back on this reboot where we see him going through like the academy?
Oh yeah, like him training to
right.
Get
so
injured.
In the whole movie, he's not a 00. Or maybe right at the end he becomes a 00 because it'll be a reboot anyway, so they can do whatever. And so we see him getting handpicked from being an orphan if they continue to use that story. Going kind of like Kingsman was, where they're going through this training thing, but obviously with a more serious aspect to it. And then at the end, obviously he'll have a mission, but it'll be one of those kind of like with Star Trek, the newer ones with Chris Pine, where he's not exactly a 00, but he kind of helps the 00s save the day. And so they kind of in turn like, okay, well, I guess you can be a 00. You know what I mean? Like, so he's not a full agent, just like James Kirk wasn't a full Star Trek officer or whatever.
Captain,
like he had a black shirt the whole time because he wasn't assigned to anything, but he still was like
he was
command
still Kirk.
and
he was
helping.
Still James Kirk.
Yeah, so it would be interesting to see as James Bond now, still kind of the tropes. Maybe it's like the first time he gets a martini or something, you know what I mean? Like, oh, what can I get you? And somebody's, that's with him, that's an older agent's kind of like, oh, try the martinis, but get it shaken, not stir, like that kind of stuff.
Kind of learning his own.
And I think that making it a little lighter wouldn't be the worst thing.
No, especially after Daniel Craig's, which have been like, I think just the most serious, the most like.
Our teacher, Chris Reed, kind of described it as well in a nice way that these last 2 films have tried to be Batman Begins, Dark Knight, that kind of like real kind of dark, everything's bad and kind of tones. But Bond isn't necessarily like that. Yeah, no. He's a damaged person. In fact,
I know he's like that in the books, but I think just talking about the cinematic franchise, the canon, he's a little bit more goofy. He's a little bit more.
He's a womanizer. He's like charming and stuff. So I think again, use Kingsman. I think making a more serious Kingsman would pretty much be what I would want to see. A little less humor, just a little. I think that'd be good, like a less of the cursing and like all that kind of stuff, but like the Eggsy kind of character where he's kind of like the charming, person or whatever, and he helps them and like all that kind of stuff. And then at the end, he goes, okay, M's like, okay, we'll make you this stuff.
And honestly, there's a YA book series of James Bond in his earliest, which I've read, like I think the first one, Silverfin, I believe that's the name of it, which was great. I like, oh God, like I would love to see this.
Yep.
So yeah, there's like a source material right there waiting to be adapted into a cinematic.
It's one of those, I think every episode that we've done so far, we come up with these really great ideas, but we're just not in those positions that get to make those decisions.
Where people would notice,
where people would notice it, and maybe someday when people are like listening back and they're like, hey, this was actually a good idea. We're copywriting it 3:37 p.m. Sunday, October 15th, 2015. These are our thoughts on the James Bond series. Barbara Broccoli, if you need people to come in and write Bond for you or pitch ideas to you, we're got you. Not Greg. He wasn't here for that. Oh, you know what? No, I don't want to mention that. It's too early for that. Yeah, we won't. Never mind. I'll tell you after.
You have to tell me. I still have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Okay. Let's move on. So Spectre, see it, but don't expect to be blown away. Right. That's what I think that sums it up.
All right, and I think before we do anything else, last night,
Saturday,
Paris was.
Was it last night? No, it was Friday night.
Was it Friday night?
Oh, yeah,
I think it was
Friday night. Yeah, it's Friday the 13th.
Right, Friday the 13th. Unfortunately, on Friday the 13th, late at night, Paris was attacked by terrorists. Mm-hmm. Which I believe ISIS are claiming.
I believe it's ISIS. Yeah. They think it's ISIS. Yeah.
They believe that ISIS is behind these terrorist attacks, but unfortunately, about I think 160 victims were killed during these attacks. I think one at a football game, at a bar, and I think it was like a bar and also like I think like a dance club.
It was the biggest attack on Paris since World War II.
Yeah.
And while there was Paris, there was also Baghdad had a attack on a funeral. Beirut had a attack of some kind. I'm not 100% sure.
It was like 6 other countries.
Japan had an earthquake and Mexico had an earthquake. So within that single day, we lost 115,000 people.
Right.
So, though we're not a political-based show, we wanted to mention that, say that we are recognizing and thinking of those people and hoping the fans and family are, of course, doing well with that and wishing them all the best. And Greg didn't want to do this just he was saying it as a joke, but I think he really doesn't want to do this, and so we'll say it for him, that we want to dedicate this episode to them and just to know that Geekcast Network is thinking of them and hope for the best in this trying time.
Definitely. And if there's any way, if any like ways that we can like, if we and like everyone else who's listening out there can help support in any way, that'd be great. And already like social medias and has taken it by the horns and like just doing whatever they can to support. And there's been great. And even artists have like already been like kind of, been gung ho about just I think sharing the message and also like with great artwork. I think one that I kind of shared on Instagram, which was done by a French artist, was kind of like a very crude Eiffel Tower, but as a peace sign. I thought like, oh, that's fantastic. And there's another one where it has Uncle Sam kind of consoling Lady Liberty, which was a gift to us from the French,
and holding up the torch in her place,
just keeping it up.
Kind of like we got you. And what was really pretty cool, and it's a big thing that's going around. Well, first off, they have the profile pictures that you can make with the French flag over it. And I tried to do it for Geekcast, and I haven't figured out how to do it for them, for our page, but I will if I figure it out. But the other big thing that I really thought was pretty cool was back for 9/11, France had a big, huge flag out, and one guy was quoted as saying, "Today we're all Americans." Mm-hmm. And so now, today we're all French.
We're all French.
And that we support them. And even around the world, which is wonderful to see.
There's great photos,
You have all these like capitals, buildings
landmarks,
and stuff, changing their colors around it, the lights around it to be the French flag, to show their support, which as trying as the Paris attack was, we can't forget those other countries that are going through some stuff as well. So make sure we remember all of those things.
And like there are times when like I'm sure you go through this too, where like humanity just kind of like pisses you off, and you're just kind of thinking like, God, why do people do this? But again, we have instances like this where people they're not even forced. It's just you just do it. You just come together to support your brothers and sisters, even if they're not Americans or French or Australian.
The French were our first ally.
Yeah, they were our first ally. So it's just we're entitled. We're like we need to do this.
Wow, way to just kill a mood.
I did just kill a mood.
You did.
We were talking about France and Paris and all that stuff, and you just came in here screaming and yelling.
Like such a bro. Just killed it.
How was that my fault? No, I thought you were talking about that at the beginning of the show. Is it the beginning of the show?
No, we're 30 minutes in.
Oh, now you're talking about it?
Yeah, because we kind of just let it be natural.
Okay.
So yeah, it's great that people all around the world have been supporting the victims in France and also in the other countries like Baghdad,
Beirut, Japan, and Mexico.
But yeah, Greg.
Hi everyone.
Greg's here.
My thoughts. It's very, very sad. It's really unfortunate that things like this continue to happen. But I think the important thing is that everybody kind of bands together in a way and shows their international support between all these struggling nations right now.
And I think what's so interesting is like we see this like evil in the world and all that kind of stuff, but I think as long as the amount of evil is smaller than the amount of good that's in the world, because I think that is as much as we see the evil, I think there's a lot of good, and that's what we have to kind of remember as well. Because think about it, that small group of ISIS, they attacked Paris, but look how quick the entire world was kind of there behind France and stuff.
What was that one movie? I think it was like with like the hurricane, like the random events like natural disasters, where like the theme of the movie was in stressful times and in bad times is when we all band together as a
The Impossible
human race.
Is he in Clint Eastwood movie?
No, this like
Matt
recently
Damon?
came out
No.
like within the past 8 years.
Was it The Impossible with Naomi Watts
I don't know.
about the tsunami?
Maybe, yeah.
With Ewan McGregor? Yeah.
And Tom Holland actually, who's Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man.
Maybe.
Still no pictures of Spider-Man.
We got Steve Trevor.
We did have Steve Trevor. That's a good segue.
Of course I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the Wonder Woman guy.
Yeah.
Of course he's seen. So yes, we're thinking of them, and as I said,
victims and families are in our prayers and thoughts.
we did dedicate the episode. Sorry, Greg.
Oh, those poor victims.
I know that was the joke he was making, but it was worth it. So we're gonna segue now into the definition of America, Mrs. Wonder Woman, even though she's from the Amazon.
Mrs.
And she's
Wonder
Greek,
Woman.
so
And she's Greek, but yeah, whatever. She wears the American flag on her.
she's
right?
an ambassador actually. So
All right, cool. Well, it's like Superman. He's not actually from America, but he's all American, right? So, either way, Wonder Woman has started filming, or if not, they're really close to it.
I think they have started filming.
They have, yeah. And Justice League Part 1 starts filming in the spring in London, which is pretty crazy. So Gal Gadot is that how you say it? Gal Gadot?
Yeah,
I say Gal Gadot.
Yeah, she's going to have her, work cut out for her, to be going back
She's
to
been
back.
posting gym selfies on
And
Instagram.
She's getting bigger. Yeah.
She looks tough. She looks very firm and
I still got to see it. I got to see.
I do too. But honestly, up to this point, I'm just really concerned about her acting. Because other than the Fast and Furious movies, which all I can say is she's really just there to look hot, which she is. But so up to this point, I'm just worried about, hopefully Patty Jenkins can get a good performance out of her.
She isn't, the role of Diana Prince really isn't like a serious role. She's actually more of like a laid back, upbeat,
True.
outgoing person. And in Fast and Furious, they're all their mentalities are like that, except for Tyrese Gibson and Ludacris because they're black and they have to be the sarcastic, funny black guys.
Wow.
I'm sorry, it's the movie industry. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah, I'm not expecting like an Oscar caliber performance, but
we don't feel the same way as Greg just said. Just wanted to separate that. Just have to, everyone's so politically correct and sensitive these days, so we have to make sure.
I'm not gonna get. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I apologize. I don't apologize, but I recognize.
Do me a quick favor. Can you get rid of those headphones? Because I'm like looking through headphones at you.
I didn't want you to look at me in the first place, so that was the entire.
Well, good, because you're ugly anyway. But thought I'd be nice.
ha.
Not what your mom says.
Ha.
Hi, Mrs. Whitehead.
Don't say things like that. I'm gonna edit
Invite
it
you
out.
over anymore.
Yeah, you're out. You're done.
I'm out.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we were having a nice thing going, and then you came in and
Just killed it.
killed it. You really killed that mood. Bitch, don't kill my vibe. Bitch, don't kill my vibe. I know. I'm clapping out of beat.
So, were you guys talking about the Constantine petition? Were you guys talking about that?
No,
as well?
but I signed it.
I saw in the comic book they're up to like 50,000.
I didn't see it, but we need to start.
They're welcome.
Guys, we need to start signing a petition where Dan can't snap while he sings and or dances because Dan doesn't know what a 4/4 time signature is.
That's right. I spent 1 year in the band. Okay, I have no musical talent in my
He's
in
awful.
my body.
He's so bad.
Yeah.
Yet he wants to open a producing company, record producing company.
I want to own a production company of some kind. Yeah.
More likely film or TV.
I like music, and I would do stuff with it.
but you leave it to the
But I'd have to
professionals.
bring people in that like know it better than I do. I just I know what I like. Like I hear, you know what I mean? Like I can hear it out.
I think there's like a homeless person somewhere in Baltimore. I think we can get to help you out.
Thanks. But I can't. But I can't like create it well.
Yeah.
But I know what I can hear what I like and stuff like that. So. But Wonder Woman, what is going on? Is Santa on the roof or something already? You're a little early.
It is Thanksgiving.
Damn it.
No Christmas before Thanksgiving.
It's the Great Turkey.
I hate it so
great.
much.
There you go. Great turkey. Yeah, I know. I agree because
hate it
all
so
we see
much.
is like commercials now already.
Yeah.
And like Black
I went
Fridays
to Rite
and stuff.
Aid, and Rite Aid has like freaking Frosty the Snowman and like Santa everywhere.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
That's why I'm all Nordstrom because they agreed to not put anything out until the 27th
Yeah, I saw
of
that.
November. So
I wish Home Depot was like that, but
you have stuff out already?
yeah, already. They're already setting up. They're already prepared for the Christmas trees. Which, in their defense, I think they're going to be doing that like at the beginning of December.
Mm-hmm.
So fair enough, but still, they already got the fake trees up.
That's
so
just too much.
it is. But yeah, like you said, Wonder Woman.
Right? Yeah. Digressing.
Yeah, like the only concerns I have with it are just I think Gal Gadot herself and if she'll be able to carry this film because this is like her first leading film.
Good dough.
Gadot, whatever.
Got it.
No, you said Gal to go, I think.
Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
There we go.
You said to go.
Whatever.
To go where?
Anyway,
that's my only concern. I still need to check out like Patty Jenkins' episode, like the episode she's directed of Breaking Bad. So just get a taste of her directing style, and then
TV is hard to judge though.
I know it is
With directing because they're supposed to their job is to make it seem like seamless,
yeah.
you know? So it's kind of hard to like see someone's
Especially
style.
when like with TV, like it's not the same person directing every
Because it's
single
more
episode.
formulaic.
Exactly.
and-
That's what I'm saying.
So there's already
movies,
like a
which
set
is
style
arguable.
that you direct towards the
That's
style.
exactly what I'm saying, yeah. And I was like I don't know how I felt about Chris Pine being Steve Trevor, but as soon as I saw that picture, I was like, perfect.
I gotta get
Yeah.
the haircut now.
You like it?
I gotta get it.
Yeah. I have that when I actually like try and like actually gel it or like take the time to do it, but right now it's
I
just
just wake up like that. So
it's just like
well,
too messy because when
get ready, bitches.
yeah. I'm not going to go into
Does
it.
that work for you?
No,
Okay.
You don't have that style. It's,
I know.
it's like the
That would never
comb
work
back.
because it would just like flip and it looked fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, just going by the photo, I was disappointed that they're setting the film. I'm guessing the first half of the film in World War One instead of
Mhm.
World War Two, which is when her comic debuted. But
Yeah, but we don't see World War One a lot, so it could be kind of interesting.
yeah, that's why I'm saying. That's why, like on the upside, World War One isn't portrayed as much in the films, unlike World War Two, which is really played out. But after looking at the look of Chris Pine with like I think like the boots and like kind of the those boots that kind of go all the way up that you see like in World War One photos, I think it looks great. And also he's with this French actor, like Saeed Taghmaoui. I'm not going to say his name, but he was in he was in
G.I.
films like
Joe.
Traitor, G.I. Joe, Three Kings, actually, that I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
And I'm kind of interested in what his role will be in the film,
Probably like a French soldier that's helping Steve Trevor.
I would assume.
I would assume.
Which would be cool.
But my question is, and I was talking to Patrick about it, is how are they going to make, because like Steve Trevor is supposed to be with Wonder Woman like all the time or whatever, like I would assume in present day and all that kind
I
of
think
stuff.
they
So
did that in the Justice League show.
how are they going to bring Steve Trevor to present day? Like, is he going to somehow time travel or frozen or something weird like that, like a Captain America kind of a thing?
I don't know, considering that they're going to, the tone of Wonder Woman is probably going to be similar to Batman versus Superman and even Man of Steel, that maybe he is just in that first act.
I would say,
perhaps.
or maybe he's only
like
in
that's
that
just
piece.
a
Yeah.
very remnant past. That's just a very favored memory of hers that she always thinks back to.
Or like he'll be in
now
flashbacks
that she's
and
in
stuff.
modern times, and of course she's like 3,000 or 1,000 years old.
Maybe there's some serum.
Some
That
super
like keeps him
soldiers,
alive.
Keeps me young. Yeah.
Could be. Because I would think, like, especially someone with the caliber of Chris Pine, you wouldn't want him to be like just in the first act or something, or
Yeah,
like
definitely. He's good. I like him a lot.
to
as
bring
an
him
actor.
in. Yeah, I would think we'd want him around a while.
He's got those movie star looks, so you kind of want to utilize that.
Mm-hmm.
right. And Steve Trevor's a pretty important character. I mean, because he
In the Wonder Woman universe, definitely.
in the Wonder Woman series, right? Because it's an interesting character to play, because normally it's the other way around, like the big superhero guy and like his leading lady of his Lois Lane, his Vicky Vale, whatever, or his Mary Jane. This time it's now a man
switch.
that's no powers and like the love interest, the
And-
damsel in
Yeah,
distress.
and he's also his kind of like he helps ease Diana into man's world and just
Right.
getting used to it.
right, because he was thinking of possibly doing Green Lantern, right? He was like between them, I think, and he chose
That
Steve
was
Trevor.
rumors. I don't know if anything
Well, that wasn't official or
with that
anything
was
yet.
officially true, if he was actually getting
okay.
the offer, but like that was just a rumor, because as far as Hollywood, he looks very similar to Hal Jordan. Still, I have no idea who they're going to cast as Hal Jordan yet.
But after seeing this photo, I think he was like you best fit as.
No,
Steve Trevor, yeah.
Dan and I remember talking about that when he made the decision, or when he got the official role of Steve Trevor, because Dan was like if all you could have went with Green Lantern, you could have been freaking Hal Jordan, but you went with Steve Trevor, and we ended up both coming with the same conclusion. And like, we're actually kind of glad, because he doesn't give off a Hal Jordan vibe. Like, I think he gives off a much better Steve Trevor vibe, and I think it's going to.
He seems like almost like a war poster boy.
Yeah, he does.
does.
Yeah.
And this-
the only other person I thought would be a good Steve Trevor, but he's already casted in Suicide Squad, is Scott Eastwood.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been a really, really good Steve Trevor. But this fan theory that I'm hearing, which I really kind of hope is true, and I don't know if I told you this,
Yeah, you
Greg,
did.
You haven't told me.
and he likes it. I could tell because he's smiling.
Yeah, it's great.
Is so they. I don't know if you saw. There's that picture for Batman vs Superman where you see the tombstone of Dick Grayson, right? That he's supposed to be dead or whatever. It says
Yeah.
Richard Grayson. If you happen, maybe watch it back later.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And so the fan theory is that, in the New 52, Dick Grayson's identity is found out that he's Nightwing. So they kill him off, fake his death, whatever, with the help of Batman. And he goes in as like Agent 47 or something, not 47, Agent something like that. And like goes in and like undercover into stuff. So they show you Scott Eastwood in the Suicide Squad trailer, and my theory is that he is Dick Grayson undercover in the Suicide Squad, and like he's who's giving information to Batman, and that's how he shows up at the end or wherever he shows up, because he's giving him information, and then it's going to turn out that he's going to be like Nightwing later on, or have like a bigger part as Dick Grayson.
That would be great, and also that could almost top Suicide Squad over Batman versus Superman. Like, oh my god, like that's a new spin. Like we can expect that to make it even better if it works.
The only hole with that is I've heard no updates of this show even happening, but Titans,
Right.
Well, the live action.
the live action Teen Titans show.
I
on
think they're
TNT.
having a really tough time getting it
That's
started.
still like
Yeah.
in pre-production hell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely. But like, regardless, it's still an idea.
Right.
And DC is very keen on not combining their TV universe and their cinematic universe. And Nightwing, it's not Robin, it's Nightwing who's leading the Teen Titans. So that's the only hole. Well, I mean, there's several holes in that theory, but the main hole that I see is that the fact that he can't be Nightwing because there's going to be a TV Nightwing.
Well, that's true. But also, I mean, also they're going to do like a huge rewrite or something, like retcon something.
if I had to choose though, because well, first off, they keep changing the name of the show. It's like Teen Titans, then it was Titans, and then it's like Black Hawk or something random like that. So then to me, it seems like they're having a lot of trouble with it. And if I had to choose, I'd rather have that theory be true of like Scott Eastwood being Dick Grayson than seeing a Teen Titans show.
Even then, he's not a dick.
Like Dick as the characteristic, or Dick as the character of Dick Grayson.
Dick is like the character of Dick Grayson. Like he's not a Dick Grayson, man. I don't see a Dick Grayson in him.
I think I see him for Nightwing, or I wouldn't say Jason Todd. I don't think I see him. He's not. I don't think he has the meanness of.
I can see a younger Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay, I was forgetting what he looked like
as Nightwing.
I want what's the dude's name from Supernatural? The freaking Jensen Ackles.
Oh yeah.
Who plays Dean or whatever?
The hair, yeah.
No. Oh, okay. What's the one that plays the other
short
brother?
Hair?
Then? The short hair brother.
I don't know.
Anyway, him. I want him to play Red Hood.
Red Hood? Oh, yeah. He'd be really good as Red Hood. Definitely good as Red Hood.
He's got like that voice for it and the look for it and everything. So, but again, fan theory, who knows? It might not be true. This is probably the same people that thought or think that Joker is the Red Hood, which is probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And if it's true, I'm giving up DC forever.
Like what? Which Red Hood?
Robin Red Hood.
Like,
Jason
Todd?
They think the Joker, Jared Little's Joker, is Jason Todd.
Oh yeah, no, F that, man.
And again, if it's true, by DC, I'm going Marvel. That's ridiculous.
Wait, so ridiculous.
Sorry about the Supernatural. Are you thinking about the guy with the short hair?
Yeah.
Right, that's Jensen Ackles.
It is Jensen Ackles. Yeah. Okay.
The guy with the long mullet hair thing is Jared Padalecki.
Yeah, so Jensen Ackles.
Write the names on these CW actors.
Well, they're all like Canadian and British.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah, but I mean, it's really interesting. I don't want Scott Eastwood to be Nightwing. I don't want it. I don't like him as it. He's not a dick. He's no dick.
Grayson.
He's no dick in my eyes. No dick here.
He doesn't have the dick qualifications.
No.
No, but I hope he's a really interesting character and then he stays around a while because I like him as an actor. They're also thinking that he's like a young Slade Wilson. I think was a very short fan theory that they had, or one of the Wilsons. But I was like,
yeah. After telling me that theory about Dick Grayson, doesn't really compare.
One of the Wilsons might be coming back on Arrow.
I know. Well, I can't remember. Do you remember in the second season they had that really annoying girl that was like trying to take over Queen Consolidated, and then she ended up being like with Slade? Was she related to Slade, or she was just like a helper? Right?
I think she was just a henchwoman.
Okay, because
she was stupid mask.
She was a waste of.
Yeah, she looked like Lucha Girl.
I laughed out loud when I saw like, oh my god, no way.
She looked like Lucha Girl from Lucha Libre. Like that's what she looked. Or was Lucha Libre? What was that show called?
I don't know.
Tiger. I don't know.
I'm just thinking of Nacho Libre.
That's
not it, right? Nacho. I don't know. Moving on. But yes, because we'll probably never see Slade Wilson, Manu Bennett return, which is a shame.
Because he's in prison.
I thought he got out. I thought he got like an appeal or something.
Saying that.
But he did get arrested. But I think it's more because he.
No, they sent him to Argus.
Yeah, he went to Argus for real.
He's on the ANU right now.
I think it's because they kind of misused his character, and he saw that, and then he was like, "Why am I going to stay around if you're not even going to do the character?"
No, the episode he was in season 3 was just total BS.
Yeah,
a waste of time. He should have actually escaped. Mm-hmm. He should have indefinitely escaped.
Right. It just seemed like an excuse to go back to the island and use Slade, and then we're like, "Yeah, we'll just catch him again." And yeah, he's in prison. Yeah. But like if they actually had him escape and then we don't see him still, they haven't talked about him, and then all of a sudden he's either working like Damien Dark sends him out, or like and gives him more of the Mirakuru or something, like where he's souped up again. I think that would be way more interesting to have him come back.
Definitely.
So I guess we kind of talked ourselves into Flash and Arrow, so we might as well talk about it. We have 2 episodes each to talk about since we missed last week.
4 episodes altogether, yeah.
4 episodes altogether. So we'll start in order. We'll go last week. Last week's Flash.
I thought it was really good. You told me it was okay. I thought it was the funniest episode.
Was that?
That was the one where Barry goes on his blind date.
Oh, yes. Okay.
That was hysterical. That entire sequence was so funny.
It was funny.
Flash is a little bit of a kind of blending together for me this season. I'm not as wowed as I was last season. I feel like they're kind of switching back. Like Arrow's kind of taking back more of the excitement.
Yeah, which I'm not really surprised because
except for Zoom.
That was a great first season. There's no way you can top that. And I think the writers, they know that, so they're just going to kind of take it easy for a while.
Well, I mean, I don't think they do know that because you can't peak on your first season. So they gotta try to keep up the same hype, and I think they are, especially with Zoom.
Zoom's great.
Zoom
Oh, yeah,
is,
Zoom is
Zoom is
awesome.
fantastic. I read an article today, all these different fan theories. It's Barry, it's Henry, it's.
I hope it's Henry Allen.
I heard the Barry one. Yeah.
I hope it's Barry.
If you really look at him, his physicality, it can't be Barry.
Barry, it's a different universe. You can look however you want to look.
So you have to.
But not that different, really.
But like, they're gonna have to get Grant Gustin to like
Really
like
bulk
soup
up,
up
yeah,
or something
seriously.
like that.
Or
Like,
just wear like pads.
I wouldn't buy it.
No.
I want it to be Henry Allen. I think that'd be way more interesting.
Because
And-
honestly, like, yeah.
and
like
the theory that I was reading that goes with it, like, is interesting because it was something to the effect of like he never wanted his son to be a hero, similar to how he doesn't want him in Earth One, and
that kind of make it similar to like kind of like the Flash paradox, where like
Kinda.
Batman's like Bruce Wayne's father is Batman, but kind of like same here. But
in Earth 2, Barry, when the accelerator goes off, kind of like tries to save his dad, and in the process, I think like dies or something, and like Henry still gets hit, and so he still becomes a speedster, and so now he seeks revenge on Harrison Wells, Harry, as they've been calling him, and that's why he said, "Oh, I created Zoom or whatever," just like he created Flash in Earth One.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's Zoom. If you look at his eyes, his physique, all
Yeah,
that stuff,
I mean,
it's
I
Henry
guess.
like
Allen.
his I don't know the actor's name, but he's a pretty tall built
John
guy,
Wesley Ship.
especially when he was
I
playing
think it's
Flash in the
Cisco.
'90s.
What? That's ridiculous.
No, because like I mean, you can go off of physicality and everything, but at the same time, like even that is not enough reason to suggest it's anybody. It could be somebody we haven't even seen yet.
Sure, which I wouldn't mind as
Which
well.
I'd be fine with, yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
It's either,
It could be Earth 1 Jay Garrick, who accidentally went to Earth 2. Like, it could be anybody.
yeah. I mean, I feel like the Earth 2 should be the only place that has Jay Garrick. Because if you have too many doppelgangers, then it's kind of like weird and like, I don't know.
Well, every universe is a doppelganger. It's the whole point.
I know, but like if you introduce every single person's
But
doppelganger,
if you go to Earth 3, you don't have to show Jake Garrick as well. Just show someone new.
I think just having him in Earth 2, like in the comics, I think is pretty cool.
Was it 2 weeks ago where they mentioned the boat accident that Robert Queen survived? Or that the Arrow was just unmasked as Robert Queen?
that was the one.
Was that 2 weeks
I think
ago?
it was this week.
Was that this past week? So there's potential there.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine that crossover episode?
Oh my god, it'd be like mindfuck.
Oh my
Especially
god,
for Ollie.
like so emotional. Oh man, that'd be great.
That'd be good, like mid-season finale.
Berlanti, Mr. Berlanti, sir,
Do it.
if you're listening to this.
Since you've given up on Supergirl.
Supergirl, we can go to Supergirl real quick if you want to just like talk about it. It's
Yeah,
It only deserves a real quick conversation.
honestly, the second episode was a lot better. I like the pacing better. The third episode was
a snooze.
yeah, because the second episode was good because I liked the secondary villain with the kind of the mouth that broke about. Like, he was basically insect of another
Kinda,
world,
yeah.
and so that was really intense and kind of creepy. But other than that, that was a good episode. But the third episode where Superman kind of comes in at the last minute. Yeah, and
Snore.
honestly, I don't like how they're using him and how they're probably going to plan on using him
Ugh.
throughout the
No.
show, and so
it's really it's unfortunate and it's honestly a waste. Like
Either have him in it
You did
completely
it-
or don't.
you could have just dealt with the first episode. Not they're mentioning Superman way too much,
Right.
but they can't show him. It makes
and
it
they
makes
can't
no
even say
sense.
his name, so it's like God,
Well,
you're making
they're
this very
starting
unbelievable.
to now be able to say like Superman,
Yeah,
Clark
like,
Kent.
They didn't say
Okay.
the first episode, the second and third episode they definitely did. But like, if you can't show him because he's in the movies, don't talk about him as much. Just don't do it.
I mean, you're in a separate city. Just
Right.
keep it
They
that.
want it to be where Supergirl is like our main focus. We want to believe Supergirl. How are we supposed to do that if you
you
keep
keep on
saying
relying
Superman,
on
Superman,
Superman as a
calling him
crutch.
in? You know, like, yeah, they're really riding
Like,
that.
honestly, if
Superman
that's the
crutch.
case, combine the TV and cinematic universe. Honestly, just do it.
Might as
It's
well.
gonna make you so much more money, DC
Or just
and Warner Brothers.
cross, at
Holy
least-
crap!
Oh, and then have MEC work something out with CW. And
to get
then-
Constantine
not to get Constantine, but to do a crossover with Flash and
with Constantine.
with Supergirl.
CBS.
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 not
Did I say
NBC.
NBC? I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
CBS.
CBS. That's easy to do.
Do that too.
It's a lot easier to do it because CBS half owns CW. They're the C in CW,
Perfect.
and Warner Brothers owns the W.
Honestly, if the ratings start to go down, real down,
They're
by
gonna
the
go
end of-
down.
They are. I think they already are. if they start doing it, then I think they're gonna work something
I've read.
to make that happen.
I have seen no positive articles. I've seen like honorable mentions of
Which is
like oh yeah, they did this kind of well, but all in all, it really wasn't.
It's so
a
odd
very
because like on Rotten
successful and entertaining.
Tomatoes, it has like a 97%. I was like, okay,
Yeah, but you have to almost look at like how many people are rating it,
yeah.
taking the time to do it. 'Cause some people are probably like, I hate it. I'm not even gonna bother to rate it either. And what's interesting, and I'm glad they're doing it, is this week's episode was supposed to be about Supergirl finding and disarming bombs throughout National City. They decided to, at least this week, not show that episode, and
Which
they're
is
going with next
understandable.
week's episode this week because of what's going on in Paris.
Interesting.
And they're doing something about Livewire, the one that she collects
Yeah, yeah.
electricity and stuff. They're doing it this
Livewire's
week.
sick. It's a sick villain.
And so
awesome.
that episode may never be shown just because of like the content. And
Maybe, like, when the
NCASLA
DVD
had the
comes
same
out,
thing.
yeah.
I understand that, and I understand
It's like a respect thing.
It is definitely a respect thing. What was the movie? Gangster Squad.
Mm-hmm.
That movie was supposed to be really, really good. But months before they released it, was the
Aurora, Colorado.
the Dark Knight shooting.
Yeah.
And there was an entire movie theater shooting scene in Gangster Squad, and they took it out. And
It was even in one of the trailers.
from reviews that I've read for critics who have seen the movie with the theater shooting scene, it made sense and it moved the story along well enough to get a better rating than it actually did when it came out.
Yeah, I have the movie. I think I got it for Christmas that year because it's just one of those movies my mom saw and figured, oh, you'll like it. And I thought it was a pretty cool movie. Like, I liked all the actors in it and everything. But I think it would have been better with that scene.
So I understand that, and I respect that they respect, the terrible tragedy that's happening right now. But I don't know.
They're just in a difficult position.
I just feel weird about it when
I think it's
when that
safer
happens.
to not show it than to have
'Cause if
them
they do,
show it
then,
and
oh
then
my
be
God.
like, oh, well, we were just trying to like not, let it affect us.
They filmed the episode how many months ago?
Probably about a couple of weeks. Probably, what is it, November? They probably did it the last week of September.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they've already they're losing so much money by not airing this episode.
Yeah.
So much money.
But I think
That's
they
why-
would lose even more. If
And
they did
it
post
was making me wonder because, like Arrow and Flash, it's somewhat serialized, and same with Gotham too, where you're getting tidbits of information in the background of like what her aunt is doing, or like all these kind of things, or like her improving. So is it going to affect the flow now to push an episode up?
Sure
and
will,
with
'cause
the
they do the previously.
is it going to feel like a missing piece there?
If
Like
they-
we
if
didn't
they-
get this information.
If they didn't do the previously on Supergirl, then it could work.
unless they like take some scenes from maybe like the background scenes of that episode that may not air and kind of like twist it into like this episode that's coming tomorrow, then maybe it'll work. But I think that they kind of might be digging themselves into a little bit of a hole.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. But since get away from that. I have this 4-episode rule with TV shows. If by the 4th episode I'm not sucked in, I step away. So
I wish I was that good at it. To me, it's either like you got to grab me by like the 2nd episode.
yeah.
Sometimes even the 1st.
That's why I stopped watching Walking Dead,
Yeah.
because I wasn't grabbed.
So
Walking Dead, I stopped watching this season premiere, and I'm not totally missing it either. I mean, I want to know what happens to the characters because I've watched it for 5 years, but I'm not like sad that I'm not watching it or whatever.
Right.
Like I can wait for it. And Supergirl, it's probably gonna end up on Netflix just because
that's probably-
Arrow and Flash, and I'll probably just watch it then.
I haven't even seen the third. I might catch up on it over winter break.
Same here.
I haven't even seen the 3rd episode yet, but I like another trailer, and like I really don't care when you guys like spoil things for me because like it's not that important of a
Yeah,
show
I don't-
for me to like if
just
you're
don't care.
gonna drop a Flash spoiler, I haven't seen it yet. I will cut you, Patrick. I will cut you.
Or Gotham.
Or
Gotham is so good. This.
Oh yeah, let's talk about
season.
Gotham for a little bit. Holy crap! This is last week's episode. Were they with
2 weeks
Barbara? No,
ago? Oh,
last
this
week's
week's.
with Barbara.
Uh-huh.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
Unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Was that? Yeah, it was with Barbara, and they have the wedding, and they kidnap Jim. And
Was it this week?
they try to.
Yeah.
And Galvin tries to have Bruce sign over the Wayne, His company, Wayne Enterprises, and what else? Galvan gets convicted.
Mm-hmm. Silver St. Cloud turns out to be a bitch. Pretty upset about that.
See this? I got a little Bruce around it.
Little
Mother
Bruce right
thing.
around my finger. And I was just like, bitch.
Yeah.
Selena was right.
No, the scene where like Selena comes over and like she's there and she was like, "Wow, Alfred, this soup really just slaps you in the face."
Yeah. It was really good. The writing's really well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And like I feel like the young actors are almost more interesting than the adult actors in some aspects. Like some of the adult actors obviously are great, but like the chemistry between Bruce and Selena is like really, really cool. I wish they had more scenes together.
I mean, I'm not
Jerome
in the second
killed it.
season already, but going off that point, like I don't know, like the adult actors are kind of just stuck in their almost like their archetypes.
Yeah.
Other than the guy who plays Bullock, he's a little more eccentric, so he can
He's good.
He can work around.
I loved. I guess I don't love him. I don't remember his name. Donald Logue. Donald Logue.
My favorite character this season by far is Edward Nygma.
Oh man.
Coming into his own. Oh man, I was so Team Ed when he was getting a little frisky with
Kristen Kringle.
Kristen Kringle.
I thought that was a clever little thing there.
It was
Chris Kringle.
I was really Team Ed, and then he fucked up and he killed her
By accident.
By accident. But I love the dynamic of him and his Riddler self, I'll call it, because that's really what it is his out of body experience, is his Riddler self like calling out to him, and now he's finally merged with that and become the Riddler. And last week's episode, he's already on a spree. He's trying to bury the body of Kristen Kringle, and then a random hunter comes out of nowhere. It was a total dick, by the way. He's like, "Oh, is that a riddle? Oh, what's that in there? Dude, like, where'd you get off? Go away." So Riddler knocks him the F out and tries to bury him. And then, wait, so you're not on season 2?
No.
Do you mind if I talk about this?
No, but by the time I get to season 2, I would have forgotten all these spoilers.
Okay.
So,
Oh wait, how far are you in?
I'm struggling. I'm still in the middle.
What's the last thing you saw?
I think
What's the last thing you remember?
you're gonna hate me, but Jim is still in the psych. I think he's still working at the psych ward.
Boo!
Patrick, I hate you. I'm just kidding.
Um,
That's like right around the mid-season.
It's in the middle, yeah. So,
But yeah,
there.
so like the end of the episode though, where Enigma comes across Penguin's trailer, and that bond is about to form. Oh man, so cool, so cool. Yeah, Penguin gets shot in the shoulder. Galvan's sister's super hot. I don't know who she is.
She's supposed to be. They're saying is going to be like a big influence on Selena with her style, as far as like the whip.
I can totally see it.
I was like, that's a good.
I can totally see it.
See that, yeah. But like you were kind of talking about, Patrick, with the adult characters, because they're already kind of older, there's not much room that they can kind of grow with, especially like, I mean, Nigma is growing pretty good, Penguin a little bit, but like some of them, like there's not
his
really
Penguin's,
up.
Yeah, Penguin's character isn't really growing, but who he is,
He's advancing.
he's
but-
advancing as a mob boss.
yeah, I mean, if they're
Right.
not villains, then they're kind of just very, very stoic kind of characters, like Jim Gordon, who I like in the show, but he's kind of like he has one tone.
Right, justice, like
Yeah.
being good and not
Doesn't
crossing
really
the line.
crack a
and-
smile that much. He's just really.
But with the kid actors, because they're young and like their history is barely written, there's a lot more that they can go with. Like there's so much more you can do with Bruce. There's so much more you can do with Selena, and even what is it, Ivy Pepper? They changed it instead of Pamela Isley for
there's
whatever
like
reason.
25 years you could play with, or just.
I don't know
create
why.
yourself.
Which I don't know why they changed it to Pamela or from Pamela Isley to Ivy Pepper, but I guess
maybe
It's closer to the
maybe
name.
Tim Burton still has the rights or something. I don't know.
Tim Burton doesn't have the rights. He wouldn't have. It would have been all Warner Brothers. I think it had to do with the fact that, like, since she's a smaller villain, a little lesser known, to call her Pamela Isley, people would have been like,
Who the hell is
"Who's
that?"
that?" Like,
Yeah,
you
but
probably
when-
still would have got it with the plants and like
Yeah.
the red hair, but I think it was still just
Ivy
a little
is
bit,
just okay.
little more like, okay, Ivy, okay,
There's
poison
no
ivy.
mistake. Yeah, it's.
So, I guess I could see why they did it that way. But yeah, Bullock I love. Gordon I think is a good character. Like I think
No, definitely.
he's strong
I
enough to
definitely
like
like him.
follow him
Yeah.
around. You know, even though it's a show where it's like, well, we just want Batman,
Yeah,
but I don't.
you see that in Jim.
Right.
You definitely see Batman.
I almost want him to mask
That
up.
and
Yeah, you see
the actor's Ben
Mackenzie.
Ben McKenzie.
Ben McKenzie does carry the show, even though it's very like.
I mean, he
Jimmy
voiced Batman in
Yeah, yeah.
Batman Year One.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So he's like, in a way, he's kind of been Batman.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
No, but like his mentality on justice,
Mhm.
and he wants it to happen, but by any means necessary in a way is very Batman-esque.
I think he's
And
going to
also-
have a
And
big
my-
influence on Bruce.
And also,
in that sense.
he's. I mean, I really like these characters where like they're kind of good guys in a shitty situation, and they're surrounded
Mhm.
by people who just won't budge and do the right thing.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And
Gotham.
I can really empathize with those characters.
And they, like what you just said, they really do a good job of like saying like, well, it's Gotham, it's just a shitty town. That's
happens.
what it is. Like where the other movies have kind of like, yeah, they showed them as being slummy, but they don't really blame the city for being the city as the show does.
And well, that's how it's supposed to be, though. It's the city.
yeah, Gotham has I think a better identity in the show so far than like
it's
I
just
think
like
in
a
the
curse
Nolan
that
movies,
it has.
I would
Yeah,
say.
it's a character in itself.
Oh, yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Which I love when just TV shows and movies can actually do that. Which is
Right.
great.
And with Bruce, like, I'm not upset that he's so young. I don't think. I feel like it's pretty cool, like that he's younger, and
It's
we're
kinda
really
grown to his face.
Yeah, like you
Sam,
said, he can
yeah.
just. There's so much. There's like about
Freaking big
25
ears.
years until, Batman Begins territory. If not that it's connected, but yeah, you can almost deal with that.
I think it's a little less than that because he's probably what 12, and he
Okay,
he
well,
becomes
actually,
Batman at
sorry.
like 22,
10,
I think
yeah,
he's
okay,
older than
10 or
12.
15 years.
13, 14.
I think he's a teenager.
Sorry, okay. Like 10
Now
or
that
15
like
years.
they're like involving girls, I feel like he's a teenager by now.
So 14.
Yeah, I'll say 14.
It's about
Alright,
10
so-
or 15 years. About 10 years.
I'm gonna say 8 or 10.
Okay.
I would say it's mid-20s.
He does it like right out of college.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't
So
know. If I said 30, but
22.
yeah, about 10 years at least. Yeah.
So I would say if he's 14, probably like 10 years at most. Which means though we'd have to follow him around for 8 seasons before we really get like close to.
That's
Batman.
why I think the last season they're going to do like a time jump, which I don't mind. Actually, I really like it when shows do that, so we can see how far the characters have grown in the as many
Well,
years.
they said we'll never see Batman on the show. The only like hint at it will be like the final scene of him putting on the cowl,
right.
and like a silhouette maybe of Batman, and then like that'll be the final
Well,
shot.
yeah, that's why the time jump would be
Whether
perfect.
it's 3 seasons, whether it's 8 seasons, 10 seasons, whatever, that would be the final
Right
shot.
now, they're on track to 5.
5 seasons.
Yeah, comfortably right now.
I think I think 5 would be good.
And
for
it'll be
Gotham.
it'd be cool to see Ben McKenzie with the
The
Gordon mustache.
He said he has to earn the mustache.
I want to.
He does have the
But I'm just going to see
mustache.
if they're going to do it with the more Gary
And
Oldman
the
guy,
glasses.
classic
Mm-hmm.
mustache.
Right.
That's a classic.
I want
Gordon.
him to have like a twirly mustache.
I
Like an
don't.
like
I'm
an
just
evil
kidding.
villain. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, Batman.
Justice. I had nails for breakfast without any milk.
So Flash again was really good.
Greg just doesn't want to take my shit ever.
I don't. I want to flush it.
Okay.
No, are you done? Are you done with Gotham?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow's night's
Yeah,
episode.
I'm looking forward to that.
Even though I watch it on Tuesdays. But no, Flash is getting really good. With the development of Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom. The voice is terrifying by far.
Tony.
Savage.
Shit, I can't think of his
And
name.
I hope there isn't that much like doctoring that has to be to his voice. I think that's really
No,
there's probably some, but
I actually listened to it before the show started. I watched the actor in like a different movie, and it's pretty much his natural
really okay,
voice.
that's awesome.
He might like just like elongate words and
Yeah.
like kind of stuff like that, but it's all in his speaking pattern, I think. So
But no, he's absolutely terrifying. Phenomenal character for the show. Great. I think everybody was really, really worried that for season 2 the announced villain was Zoom. Oh God, another speedster. Here we go again.
Yeah.
I'm so past that right now.
But
Same
now I'm already at this point where all right, he's obviously going to defeat Zoom in some big epic battle. But
Yeah.
then it's like, well, where do you go from there?
You could have said the same thing about season 2 of Arrow.
Right. Where I'm already looking at it ahead. Like, all right, we did 2 speedsters now. Obviously, you're not going to do an overarching speedster again.
Because I'm not familiar with the Flash comics, but like Zoom is like he is the villain.
There's Reverse Flash. There is Zoom. There are separate ones because there's so many Flash.
It's really hard though. I think especially in the DC universe, to have main villains. So
Mhm.
look at the Batman universe.
Right.
Like you could argue that Joker's a main villain. You could
Totally
argue that
I would
Two-Face is
say
a
he
main
is.
villain. You could argue that Penguin's a main villain.
He
It all depends. It all depends on the story and where it's going. You can put any villain in season 3 of Flash, and it would seem like a Flash villain.
Right. Well, I mean, Batman and Joker though are like unanimous as like they're arch enemies.
You can't
They're
right.
you can't discuss
Holmes and
Batman
Moriarty
really
there.
without
Uh-huh.
discussing Joker.
So for Flash, it's reverse Flash or Zoom. Like they're kind of interchangeable.
That is really true. I mean, yeah, like Green Lantern, Sinestro.
Right. They all have their arch
mainly
nemesis.
So
Lex
it's almost like for the
Luthor.
third season, they would have to do a crossover with another villain for.
They'd have to borrow another
in order
villain.
to keep the
Well,
hype
or-
up. And,
Well, that's what
you know,
Arrow does.
Yeah. Well, Arrow doesn't really. Green Arrow doesn't have really arch nemesis except for Merlin the Magician, which
Or,
or the Black Archers, if you want
Count.
to call
Oh, I
it.
can't remember his name.
Vertigo.
Count Vertigo.
Kinda,
But
but
they kind of fucked him up in the show. I didn't like
Merlin is pretty much his arch
The
nemesis,
second time through, they fucked him up.
and
Yeah, so he fights other heroes' villains. Honestly,
yeah, I mean,
That's the entire Arrow series is him fighting mainly Batman villains.
yeah, in some way or another. Arrow, though, I think has the better chance of like going to the 5th season and like they can easily find a villain. I think Flash is going to have a harder time for them finding a villain of like to go continue with.
considering I think they're the more fantastical kind of show. Where,
Yeah.
because since Arrow is more grounded, even though they have introduced magic. into the show.
Yeah, they're changing it a lot, but it's not like a bad change.
No, it's not that drastic of a change.
Arrow?
It still
Yeah.
feels like Arrow.
No, Arrow. We can talk about Arrow now. I guess is doing.
We'll just keep jumping around.
yeah, that's what we do. I gotta leave soon.
It's okay. We're already an hour and 10 minutes in, so we're
Yeah, I
good.
figured. Arrow again these past 2 weeks has been very, very good.
Mhm. This whole season has been very, very good.
Yeah, like a really, really good. What was 2 weeks? It was 2 weeks ago.
Constantine.
Constantine. Oh my God.
Yeah, we
Go
didn't
ahead,
get to say-
Dan. Go for it. Get it.
I haven't read any Constantine yet or Hellblazer, but I watched about half of the NBC series with Matt Ryan, and we obviously watched the crossover, and I think even if I just watched the crossover, I was hooked on Constantine.
Yeah, now I was.
Yeah.
I was
I was
really
like-
well done.
As soon as the episode ended, I think even at the halfway point, I was like, I need more Constantine in my
seriously.
life because he was so good at it. Matt Ryan is a really phenomenal actor. I really enjoyed him actually on the Criminal Minds spinoff that didn't make it past the season. So he's kind of 0 for 2 on television series, which kind of suck. He gets to that 13 episode mark and then they just kind of cancel it, both on cliffhangers, from what I understand. But really terrific actor, and I think from what I can tell, he really embodies the character.
Yeah, like I haven't read the comic book series, but I feel like God, this is Constantine.
From what I heard, he really does a good job at it.
for once he's blonde and British, so yeah.
Right. Keanu Reeves, who was like American, and he got the smoking part right, but he was like
Which
American.
honestly,
and
I don't
had
mind
dark
that
hair.
film. It's not a great film, but actually, I like it. I enjoy it. But
Yeah, and so like he fit so well into Arrow.
Yeah.
Like he just came right in, like
Yeah.
he's been there before. He fits better in the show than freaking Katie Cassidy's Laurel fits in that show. And I'm sorry to keep picking on Katie Cassidy's Laurel, but
Just let it
Laurel's
out.
just is bad.
Yeah, it's not Katie's fault. I don't think
it's
it's
the
Katie's
writing.
fault.
No,
it's the same shtick.
It's the writing because it's the same. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. It's the same issues over and over and over again. And to me, Laurel is becoming the Thea of the Arrowverse right now, where she just bitches and moans the entire
Yeah,
time.
Thea's kicking ass.
How
love
I
her.
like to think about it is she's the Meg Griffin of their show, where they don't know how to write. That's why Meg always sucked,
Shut up,
because they
Laurel.
didn't know how to write for women or
Yeah.
teenage girls. So they made Meg like a shitty character. So they kind of like, it's almost like they don't know what to do with Laurel.
Yeah.
So they kind of just, well, she's got to be in the episode.
No,
So
hey, season 1 Laurel, fantastic.
oh yeah, she was great for that. When
Oh,
she
yeah,
had a
she was-
job.
yeah,
God,
and
she, was,
like,
she was so hot. I would have taken her out to a nice dinner. That's what I would have done to Laurel in season 1. Now, maybe get some pizza. Maybe go skee balling.
yeah, but
you
she'd
know?
probably bitch about that.
She would.
She's
She'd
like,
be like,
"This
oh,
isn't
these
classy
ski
enough."
balls are so greasy. Oh my god.
Did I mention I'm the Black Canary? I'm really good at
Why are
it.
they so greasy? Do you know what happened to my sister?
I'm
like,
taking her. She's got to come back to life. She's not dead.
Like,
She's
she just
the
roll the
same.
fucking ball.
She's the same.
oh my god, I just want the tickets.
I want to.
Earplugs for 20 tickets. I want to
don't-
get them so
I
I don't
don't-
have to hear you fucking talk.
Advise hitting women, but I want to hit her with her
No.
stick sometimes.
No, she looks really, really dumb with the stick. Like
Yeah.
really dumb.
Like it's just like
But Katie Lloyd's could totally pull you off.
Katie Lotz on the other
Lodge,
hand.
sorry.
Katie Loss does a great job.
I wish they casted her as Laurel. Like now looking back, I wish she was Laurel, and then like
Or at
Katie
least
Cassidy
not,
could have
like,
been Sarah.
Split up her whole name because I know like their mother has
It's Dinah.
Dinah,
She's
Sarah,
Laurel.
Laurel Lance or whatever. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's just like too much.
Well, Laurel's also Dinah, but she goes by Laurel.
Right. She is, yeah. Which is kind of weird. Because in the comics, she's Dinah Laurel Lance, but then she just decides to go by Laurel. Yeah, but like Sarah, it's weird that like you're more interested in the sister that they created for the show than the actual character that's supposed to be with Green Arrow.
Yeah.
And I almost like, kind of like how with Flash, to go back to that for a second, I don't want Barry to end up with Iris now. Just like I don't want Oliver to end up with
Patty
Laurel.
Spivot.
And like Oliver and
So
Felicity is great. So like I don't want that. I almost don't want the comics part of it to come true.
Yeah.
I want it to be its own thing.
Yeah, I don't care about the original canon now. It's just like
Yeah. I'm glad they're doing their own thing. I mean, they've obviously changed a lot to fit their own and make it their own and stuff. And I don't think it's bad. Either show is my biggest complaint though for season 2 of Flash is what they're doing with Jay Garrick, because I was so excited about Jay Garrick, and I think that
I thought
they're
he was gonna be more prominent
they used
than-
him really, really well, and then there was the episode where he wasn't in it at all, and that's where they lost us.
Well, yeah, it was. They didn't even try to like address
Yeah.
him, even like in a throwaway line.
but now
It
they
just
sent
was
him
not-
off where he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to help you, and then like, just leaves, no powers, nothing. Like it would have been almost more interesting if he got his powers back, and it's like now I got to go back to my world and help.
Well, I don't know if you guys have seen the poster, but there's the new promo poster of how Barry gets his powers back, where he's going to strike himself with lightning again. I feel like this is also going to transcribe to get Jay his powers back.
Maybe. I mean, to have Jay Garrick come in the show and then never have his powers and like have him help defeat Zoom or whatever, because it would be such a waste. Like, especially since he's like, oh, I've never been able to defeat Zoom. Like, I've always had this hard time, and then he doesn't get to help in defeating
I think,
him.
yeah,
It would be such a waste.
Since the writers nerfed him without his powers, he's just going to be like Harry.
Scruffy nerf herder.
Yeah, Harry Wells again from the first season. So
Yeah.
they kind of just like,
But doesn't
you don't want to
hopefully turn out to
rehash
be
it again.
evil.
So just throw him away.
But I'm digging Harry. I like Harry in the show.
Yeah.
I think he's good.
I think
he's good for moving stuff along.
I don't think we're going to see a Harrison Wells in season 3, though.
No.
I think that Tom Cavanaugh, his time on the show is probably going to end with season 2. And it's probably going to be, I'm going to go back to Earth 2, and like that's it. And he may guest star a few times, but he's probably not going to be a main character again.
Right. No, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
It was cool that he voiced Harry Wells in the Robot Chicken
Did he?
CWs, but yeah, that was
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
Oh,
That
really?
was
That's
great.
funny.
I wish they got Stephen Amell, but no.
I'm sure he would have done it too.
Yeah, he's a good sport about it and stuff.
Oh, did you see? He shared some video on Facebook of some sportscasters who like dissing Arrow. They're like, yeah, he's got like 4 arrows. That's all he has. Like after he shoots 4, he's done. And like Steven was just like, I mean, if you have your own opinion about the show, that's fine. But it's not even the guy admitted he didn't even see the show. He's like, I don't even watch it, but he has 4 arrows. He's not even seeing the show. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Although I thought it was a little ridiculous when he's hanging upside down and not like his
Yeah,
arrows
and
like-
not-
Okay, they're like magnets at the tips or something like that.
Yeah, like that. Come on, Steven. What are you doing there, man?
I did like that kind of subtle Batman thing of him like the upside down.
No, that was really cool. But like, no, physics are still a thing.
right. Like they should have fell out or
Yeah. Also, I did love
Something.
that NBC joke in the Haunted
with
episode
the peacock feather.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I've been really bothering me like that, and he scratches him. I didn't really get it until like afterwards when I
Yeah,
watched it
sure.
or like saw the Easter eggs or whatever.
Oh.
I was like, aha! I laughed like the ostrich did in Family Guy.
Last to the ostrich.
That's right.
I have to go.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up here. So that's it for the Geekcast, the podcast. I'm Dan Whitehead.
My name is Greg St. Clair.
I'm Patrick Howard.
Party on.
Party on.
Party on.